are we ready for the next and final episode of painting Ullswater and the daffodils, which the daffodils are going to be next. So I've put some tape onto the tree bark, or the tree trunk, just so that, so you can see here, so that I'm then going to be able to paint nice and tight up to that edge and not have to worry about getting a straight line and being too fiddly. And I've also just put a little bit of the candle wax, just a touch, onto the bark of the tree, and this will just give it a nice bit of texture. So just rubbing just an old candle wax onto there, maybe a little bit on some of the stones, just breaking up. And what it does, it acts as a resist, so it stops the paint from going onto the paper too much. So instead of covering it, it gives a bit of a texture to it. So that's that. The masking tape is on, but before that I just want to add some bright colours into this foreground, so that I then can remove the masking fluid, because if you remember, we put some masking fluid on here for the daffodils, and just also a little bit of lightness. So I'm going to paint a little bit of the foreground colour, not all of it, just a little bit. And first of all, starting with a nice bright yellow, and using just a touch of permanent rose into it. And this is all going to go on fairly loosely. So I'm using a smaller brush. Just thinking, I just want to, just a little bit of colour maybe in here. And I'm not actually painting daffodils, I'm just sort of just thinking about colours maybe going on here. Touch of blue into this mixture, a little bit of cobalt blue. And just bring this just down into this little area of grass. And a little bit on the other side as well. And that, what hopefully that does, it throws the other section back. So touch my yellow. Forgot about my beach. Nearly went over it. Okay. And then just a little bit of Windsor blue into this. I want to be aware of not getting too dark. So I just start thinking for some of the leaves in the daffodils, just a little bit of darkness as well. Not too much. Hopefully when I take the masking fluid off, it'll reveal a few more colours and things going on. And then also just shaping up and thinking as well about the light. So this side of the trees will be a little bit lighter, and there might just be a little bit more cast of a shadow on the other side. The same goes for the trees as well. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow just on some of the trees themselves. Right, also I think I'm just going to paint as well some of these stones. Can you see how that resist is just, it's quite nice. And starting to put a bit of yellow colour into this. So that was the permanent rose, and a little bit of cobalt blue. Probably just going to pop so I'm thinking there is a lot of masking fluid on there, so it will lighten. When I take it off, so it looks quite dark, but it will be a bit lighter. Maybe an odd little one in the water, and now I'm going to use the palette knife just to remove some of the paint off the stone. It just gives it a nice bit of texture. Right, so let's get the palette knife and just try and get some texture into these stones. So I'm getting the lighter side of the rock. It's just dragging, but with the edge. Maybe another little stone in there, so there's a couple of stones. So you just take off. It gets a bit addictive, does this? Be warned. But you can see how you've suddenly got, there's a stone with a little bit of light on, so I'm just going to reflect that stone underneath, just into the water. Right, and then do the other tree while this is drying and hopefully creating something. So a nice light wash. So just using your brush. You just dilute that as well a little bit lighter. You can see how that resist has picked up, it's quite nice. And just maybe a little bit of yellow into it. Because when you walk around you'll see that there's a lot of yellow in trees. I think it's just from the moss. And then a lovely dark. Just going to go to the smaller, to the Chinese brush again. Get some nice darks in there, and because this tree is slightly closer, I'm just going to use a little bit of the Windsor blue, which is a warmer blue than the cobalt. Look how dark that is. Touch touch of yellow to it, just neutralise it. Oh, it's just a little bit of burnt sienna actually, that's better. A bit more burnt sienna maybe. And that is a very, there's a dark there against another dark, so it does need to be a touch darker even. Or even just leaving a tiniest bit of light just on the edge. Or permanent rose. There you are. Shall we see if it's bled? Up to now, no. Has it done it there? Ah, it has there, flipping heck. No, I can soon sort that out. So I'll just use my flat brush just to get rid of that. And it's good actually that it has bled, because I can show you how you can get rid of these little marks. Just while it's damp, just take it off, just with a flat brush. And it is on quite a light, but we'll be able to, I think I'll be able to. There you go. Let's remove it. And then just give it a little dab with the tissue. There you are. Right, and then I think we want a few more branches. And I've got the rigger brush as well ready for this, because I'll use the rigger to get some branches. I'll put some burnt sienna into there. It's quite dark, is that true? But I think it'd be alright. So I sort of like dance them across the paper. Thinking of the tree. Maybe we might have just a little bit here maybe, but I'm just going to use the rigger brush for that. Oh yeah. And trees have attitude, they grow with attitude. Let's have one maybe coming out here. Just lightening up that colour so it's not as dark. Maybe it comes from here, that little branch. Just dancing across. And if you've got a little mark on the paper, perfect place for a branch. And then I'm going to use the palette knife just to do a few wispy ones. careful not all in the same place. The thing with the watercolour sometimes as well, once it's on the colour, it is, so you do need to often think about what you are doing. I'm just trying to get a little bit of lightness and texture into this. Which you can see this is doing quite nicely with the palette knife. Did you hear the birds? Oh, yeah. So I'm actually putting paint onto the side of the palette knife as well. Right. So next off, what I'm going to do is, see how these rocks are just starting to take shape? Give a little bit there to show the light against the dark. Quite nice, aren't they? And we just want a nice, what I'm going to do is put a little bit of shadow of cobalt blue by itself, nice and weak, and a shadow down one of the trees on this side, not on this one, but down the other one, and it just hopefully will give a little bit of, you'll see as though the sun's just suddenly coming out. You're thinking, God, what have you just done there? Down here. So it's like a glaze, is this? And maybe have a little bit of this across, thinking that it's going to go across the beach underneath here. So it's these are all the finishing touches that you can start to do. Right, and then I'm going to give it a very fast, quick little blast with the hairdryer and then take off this masking fluid, so bear with me, 1 second. Hopefully that wasn't too painful. Right, let's see if this is about dry. Soon find out if it's not. That's the hairdryer. So just taking off some of these little bits of masking fluid. So you're just rubbing it with your fingers. You can rub it with a rubber. Don't leave your masking fluid on too long. Don't also leave it out in the bright sunshine, because it'll stick. I found that out accidentally once painting in Italy, and I painted some masking fluid for some of the posts, the lovely posts that you get over there in the lake. Yeah, it melted on the paper, so I had bright yellow posts instead of the lovely glue post that you get over there. Right, that's just a little bit dry still, is that one? It's alright. And then I'm going to just paint in a few shapes for the daffodils. Just using a little bit of pure yellow, thinking of the daffodil flowers. Tiny bit of the yellow. And it's giving an inclination, because they are a little like, we don't want to be painting them too, as though there's too much detail on them, because otherwise it becomes too busy, does the picture. Hopefully by doing a few stems as well, a little bit of the yellow and the Windsor blue. Touch bright, touch darker. Okay, these are starting to come together, and the colours should all correspond and harmonise quite nicely. And it's standing back at times, seeing where your picture's going. See, those stones have come out lovely, I quite like those. Yeah. Sort of overlapping as well is quite good. Just a tiny little bit of red, sort of, so there's a little bit of fern as well, which we get in the Lake District. I'll just maybe make it just tiny touches. Just bring it a little bit forward. Again, not getting too busy. I bet you're thinking the strangest daffodils. Right, a couple more little bits of yellow and then we're not far off done. So it's nearly pure yellow that I'm using now. So we've got a golden host of daffodils at Ullswater. Right. And see if this is dry, which it is. I'm just going to show you a tiny little tip and then that's it. So I've got a little bit of gouache here, which this is white gouache, and I'm just mixing it with a tiny little bit of Naples yellow, which is a very opaque colour, but it just changes the colour from a white just to a very sort of off, like a buff colour. Just tidying up a few of these little bits. Not too much, otherwise it gets too, leave it as it is. It's just bringing a little bit more light into the picture, hopefully. Tiny little droplets here and there can sometimes just make all the difference. Bring that little bit of colour into that bark. Right, and I think there we are. We have Ullswater daffodils at Ullswater. Hope you've enjoyed it. Okay. Bye.